All right, here we go. Yet another episode of Ticket to Gamehenge on a beautiful fall morning. I
It
don't know
is.
about you, but until I got married, the term cozy wasn't really in my lexicon. So I'm sitting here on a beautiful fall morning with a nice warm apple cider, and it's nice and cozy. I I kid you not. The moment I started dating Megan, that term came up all the time, and it just wasn't as a young guy who wants to be cozy,
I like
right? But
being
now,
cozy. Cozy was in my lexicon,
was it?
especially
I,
like
I
in
was
fall
aware
and
of it
winter.
clearly. Yeah, I was aware of it. I just didn't seek out moments to be cozy versus this one upstairs. She's always looking for the cozy opportunities. Anyway, first thing that I wanted to do, I wanted to quickly follow up on last week. So last week, episode 10 was entitled, what do we call it? Why fish doesn't care and why we like
And why
that
we
or
love it,
something
yeah,
like that.
something like that.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of challenge that back a little bit
Oh,
because I
nice.
think that they do care. I think it's obvious that they care. I think it's more of a rock and roll attitude of acting like they don't care. Because we were specifically talking about Time Turns Electric and how it just sort of vanished, right? They played it for
Elastic.
2 years and it was gone. And I think it took us on a path of talking about that they don't really care. Same thing with the vocal jam that we talked about. You and I both particularly don't like it, but that's one of the things that we like is that they don't care that we don't like it and they still do it anyway. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because I really think that they care. The interaction with the fans, the way the whole platform is set up, it's evident to me that they care. But yeah, I just wanted to talk a bit about that because I was thinking about that since last week.
So let me clarify. When I say they don't
Yeah.
care, I mean that they have standards for which they are not willing to sacrifice their values.
Okay.
Right? So like
Yeah.
when you talk about like somebody selling out, it's
Hmm.
because it's not, it's never because they're being true to themselves. It's because they've crossed the line that they would never cross before. Right? So Fish
Okay.
has a line that they would never cross. Like
Okay.
playing the vocal jam or like we don't like this song, or we don't like Farmhouse or whatever. Like that's what it is. Right? So they're
You just
not
said farmhouse in a very Canadian way. You said farmhouse.
Farmhouse. Whatever, man. Canadians,
Yeah.
listen, we don't have accents. So
Yes, we do.
I don't know what. Of course we have accents. Have you ever seen that Russell Peters bit? Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah, you should try living in Newfoundland. You want to hear an accent? Oh my
That's
god,
right. I forgot that
that's
about
totally
that.
different.
So what I'm saying is they have their standards. They
Hmm.
have what they're willing to accept. And by we
Hmm.
don't care means we're not willing to cross certain lines and we don't care what you think. Right? But yes, of course they
Okay.
care. Of course they care. They care about the fans. They want everyone to have a great experience. They want everyone to have a good time. They want them to be excited. Yes, they care in that way, but they have standards that they're not willing to break for anything. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So, give me an example of a band, or I guess a band or an artist that you think has sold out, that has crossed that line.
Kings of the first band off the top of my head because I called it as soon as I heard the newest album at that time was Kings of Leon, and remind
Okay,
me
like
and
their big breakout album with "Sex Is on Fire" and all
yeah,
that. Yeah,
and before that it
yeah.
was like he sounded like he was half drunk, in the back of a car
Hmm.
singing like these awesome rock and roll songs. That's how they
Yeah.
got to where they were. And then all of a sudden,
Right.
whoever gets a hold of them, I don't know their story, but you get the big producers in, and we're gonna write the popular album. Sex on Fire comes out, big hit, finished, finito. After that, they
Yeah.
sacrificed their musical integrity. The band did not sound like that
Hmm.
before that stuff. Right? It's a great song.
Hmm.
It was awesome. It's a great album, but it's not the Kings of Leon. They're doing something else. They're lacking authenticity. That's what I mean by
Are they even
selling
still
out.
together? I
I
know
have
they're all family members. Are they even still together?
I have no idea. Mumford and Sons is another
Yeah.
one. You know, Mumford
Hmm.
and Sons. It was like it was that awesome. Those awesome songs, man, so good. They had like the banjo, and it sounded, really country and
Yeah.
really awesome. And then they did their popular album, and now where are they now? Nobody cares.
Yeah, there's a lot of copycat artists that came out of that too, right? Like there was a time it seemed like every song had a banjo, every song kind of started slow, got loud, got quiet again, got loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good example. It's interesting when we were going to New York for Aaron's bachelor party, we were listening to the new Kings of Leon album, and I think Aaron's brother Justin was kind of saying the same thing at the time that they kind of jumped the shark a bit.
Mhm.
So, okay, well, thanks for clarifying because I think when I looked at that title, and I thought, like, good Lord, these guys totally care. Everything they're really doing is for the fans and for, everything that Phish is all about. But thanks for, thanks
See,
for
again,
clarifying. I think that's good.
I'll have to stop you. I disagree. I don't think Phish does it for the fans. If they would have done it for the fans, they would have, like they love it. They love it. And that's why they do it. It's more like we're going to make this happen for us so we can look out and be like, oh shit, that's cool. I can't believe we did that. Right? The fact that we benefit.
Yeah.
Right? It's like and Phish fans are going to hate me for saying this, but this is the correct model for selfishness. Like, this is what actual selfishness means in the best way possible. If you do something good that you benefit from, that you really benefit from, right? We've been taught our whole lives it's a bunch of bullshit. It's not a zero-sum game. Like, you winning doesn't mean me losing. In the real world, you winning properly means that I win too because I benefit from that.
Right.
Right. So Phish winning, becoming popular means that we benefit because they're popular.
Right. Yeah. Just as you're explaining that, I was thinking about the story of I want to say it was New Year's '94 when the hot dog idea came about.
Yeah.
Right. The flying hot dogs across the arena. And do you know where that idea started from?
I remember hearing it on the podcast, but I can't recall right now.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was Trey or Fishman that came up with it, but they were thinking about that fan who ended up getting the worst seats in the house, right? That there's the back row, back of the arena, they're there, but that the band was going to find a way to all of a sudden be performing for that person in front of them.
Right.
And I thought, okay, they're really thinking about that fan and how great it would be for them. But really, when you keep listening to Trey talking about it, it was because the band thought it was going to be great and they thought it was going to be awesome for them, that it was very much self-serving. It would blow that person away. But really, it was for them to say, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did that? So, and then it turned into the whole hot dog thing.
Just a complete tangent, because I think we're kind of there. It's interesting. We get these concepts wrong. Like take, Jeff Bezos is taking a lot of heat right now because he's a billionaire. Like multi-billionaire over, but he actually earned his money. Like, he earned his money by providing something so valuable to us that people were willing. You're not forced to deal with Amazon. So you willingly open up your pocketbook and say, I want this product. So good for him, right? And the same is true for Phish. Like, people show up, we spend a lot of money on these guys. It's getting more and more expensive every year. But no, they're not forcing us to do it. We want to, by our own free will, do it. So, like, good for them. Let them have all the money they can have.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I think it's a good discussion. It's I think it's maybe tough for me to understand that mindset. I've never been in that position. That's on that platform of creating things for all these people and the purpose behind it.
Not true. You're doing it right now, right? So, like, for the 3 people that are going to actually, it's 13 people now. Thank you very much, Anchor, that are going to listen to this podcast. When we were getting together, right? The only real conversation is, do we get something from this? And if we get something from it, we're going to show up every week and deliver and have fun. Now, the fact that I don't know, why some of the shit that I say would be beneficial to somebody else, but respect if they like it, right? Then that's awesome. That's how it works, man.
Right. Yeah. Got it. Okay. Very cool.
You can't be selfless, because if you just did it for somebody else, you would stop doing it. It would be torture.
That's true. Okay. Cool. Dinner and a movie last week. Were you able to watch it? $723.99.
Did I watch it?
I watched it twice.
At least twice, especially the second set.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Like I said, 5 songs, second set. It's yeah. Like the look in your eyes right now. You remind me of maybe I'll tell the story now, and we'll get back to dinner and a movie. As you know, I'm going back through 2009, and I'm working my way through mid-August. And I don't think it's a secret, maybe to our new listeners, but I don't think it's a secret that Carini and made evidence by the fact of its return on August the 11th in 2009, when it came in after backwards down the number line. It wasn't a great Carini. I mean, they were clearly a bit rusty, and I think Trey busted it out of nowhere, and the rest of the band wasn't really ready to go.
Classic.
But that's okay. I was in the car, and I'm so annoyed that I wasn't recording, because my reaction, it was like, I don't even know how to describe it. I was making sounds and doing things that I were somewhat uncontrollable. I mean, I was driving down a country road by myself, and I started like yelling and pumping my
That's
fist
awesome.
and just getting into it. And I thought, like, another good example. God, I want more people to be able to feel like this. But yeah, I did it in a movie, 5 song second set, all obviously 1.0 show, a show from '99, as they were, I think, ascending to the summit of the mountain. You know, we've kind of talked about that, how Cypress Creek was really the peak. It just sounded good, like on point. Yeah, it's incredible to me too that, you know, 21 years later, there's differences in the sound and all that, but the bit, like, it's still them. Like, you know, it's evolved a bit, but when you go back, it doesn't sound like a 20-year-old recording. It might look like a 20-year-old show in terms of the attire and the style and all that stuff, but in terms of the sound and the quality of the playing, I don't know. It sounds really, really good. It sounds really current.
They haven't chosen instruments that have aged sonically. You know, I think that's part of it, because like you listen to, like, you know, if you go back and you listen to Deep Purple from like the 70s, and like you hear an
Yeah.
organ in heavy metal music, and you're like, who the hell plays an organ in heavy metal music anymore? Right? Like, it sounds dated and it sounds aged, right? But like
Hmm.
the tones that they use are very they're still, you know, they're still acceptable. And you're right, it could be, you know, it could be yesterday's show for all we know.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think, you know, both Trey, I guess Trey, Mike, and Page have all got new toys over the years, new pedals, new effects, new things that they've, you know, kind of played around with. But essentially, it always comes back to that core sound.
Well, they're
Which,
very clear, right? Like, let's not mistake, like, you know, the music takes the precedence, and they're ultra clear on what they want it to sound like and what the most important parts of like the songs are, right? It's not
hmm
toys or technology or noodling; it's the actual music.
hmm hmm
Not to say
yeah,
that other stuff's not important, but
So did you have any favorites from Dinner and a Movie? Anything that stands out? I mean, Ghost was awesome.
yep.
Birds of a
So
Feather,
pretty
always
much
great.
when the second set started was my favorite until, you know, until it ended with the
Hmm.
encore, like all of it.
Yeah,
You know, Birds of a Feather was awesome. You know, it just sounded, dude. Like, I don't know what else to say. You know, I would need to listen to it to break it down, but
yeah,
it was just incredible. Like, they were on it,
yeah,
man.
yeah. I agreed. Speaking of incredible, maybe breaking it down, I'm going to kind of skip a topic and come back to it.
Sure.
I hope for the few listeners that we have, I hope you guys are visiting our Instagram, because we've got a pretty talented guitar player on our roster. Being
Sometimes,
you.
sometimes,
um,
sometimes.
yeah, when you sent me that video the other day, I didn't at first see how long it was, because typically the guitar clips that you send me are, you know, 20, 30
Yeah.
seconds. And was Fluffhead, right? I don't even know what to call that part of the song. I don't know if it's a bridge, if it's just
From
middle
Reba,
part.
from Reba.
The other day, when you sent me, when I asked you if it was by memory, was that Reba?
Uh
Son of a bitch.
huh. Do you know this band?
Oh
Do you know this band?
my God. I was listening to it, and I was thinking ahead to where it goes after that. I went, Fluffhead. It's Fluffhead. Totally wrong. Oh my God. Egg on face. Okay, so Reba,
Yeah.
because that's the one you've been studying, right? Like,
Yeah.
you've been really working on that song. And I think watching you and hearing just the guitar part isolated, and, you know, when I watch like Dinner and a Movie, and obviously when I listen on the app, I can't see it, but when you watch the Dinner and a Movie, it's all over the place. You see little snippets of the close-ups of the hands, but really it's gone in no time. So to see you playing for, I think it was 2.5 minutes, and it's seemingly all over the place, it makes sense. Really gave me an appreciation of not only the skill that it takes to play those songs, but the skill that it would take to write those songs and imagine that and to put it together and to make it work. Because it just seems like I know if I were to take that clip and show it to somebody, they would immediately say, "Wow, that guy's really, really good. Look at his like technique. He's hitting those harmonics, bang on." But they'd also say in the same breath, "What the hell is he playing?"
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really curious. I know it's something that we mentioned in the past. I think the way that you listen to Phish, the way that you would approach it, being a guitar player versus me who just doesn't play or doesn't really get that, I think are two very different approaches and very different ways to listen to it.
I would agree.
So when you play that, are you Are you thinking of the notes and the scale? Are you thinking of the song from memory? How does it actually go in your head when you're kind of going through all that craziness?
That's an interesting question. Well,
Like I'm trying to understand to translate it, right? Like what your process is when you're translating what's up here down to the fingers and having it come through.
so, oh man, it's different in practice, and it's different in practice versus when you're playing, right? Because when you're practicing, you're actually thinking about the parts,
Hmm.
and you're trying to fit it together. Like I'm again, I haven't really written anything, right? So I don't understand what that process is, and I'm just learning about music theory. So people will have to forgive me if I'm off, because like I just used to play, and now I'm actually studying the music, right? So of
Okay.
course I pick like the hardest shit to study, because it's just my style. But when you're practicing is one thing, because you're learning the different parts and you're trying to understand, right? You're trying to understand the intervals. You're trying to understand the different parts, what chords, like what they're trying to say musically, why these notes. And then there's playing. And playing is just like you play from memory, right? It's
Hmm.
like something that you're really skilled at. Like when you're taking your drop step, it's a 3-step drop. Like you take the snap and you take your 3 steps. There's nothing else to think about at this point,
Right.
right? You're just doing it and you're reading. So same thing with this.
Right.
Like it's not practice
Okay.
anymore. It's time to perform, right? It's a performance.
Right. And you're going to get through it. You got to rely on all of the skill that you have and everything that's within you. Or almost if you're getting up to speak in front of a crowd, it's not going to
Yeah.
be scripted. You're going to have talking points and be able to elaborate and kind of go from there. Right.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah. Yes. But when you're actually like listening to the piece of music, you're trying to figure out, okay, well, what is this? What is this musician trying to say? Right? Like, why are
Hmm.
they choosing these notes? Why this section? Why this scale? What does this mean? Why does it get all quiet here? Right? Like, there's a theme. Like, good music, very much like a good movie. There's certain themes, right? There's certain beliefs that come out from the artists, and those are the different things that you're listening for, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
You know.
Can you think of anyone stylistically that is close to Trey in terms of both writing and playing? Like I kind of think of Frank Zappa a little bit.
So, I
Um,
mean, again, it comes down to like what your preferences are, right? Like stylistically,
yeah.
no, there's nobody like him, right? He's like any great musician, they're all one of a kind, right? There's, and that's why for me, that's why like I don't know, man, I don't love bands like Greta Van Fleet, because you're pretty much just taking what Led Zeppelin did and doing it again.
Hmm.
There's a part of me that like, and again, this is just my personal preference. No offense to, like, they're a great band, they sound awesome, and I get why people love them. But when I hear it, I'm like, but
Sure.
this has all been done. Like, there's nothing unique. You're not saying anything that's different. There's nothing for me to pay attention to here,
Mm.
right? Versus for Phish, it's incredible, because every time they take the stage, they're gonna say something different. It's never gonna be the same way again.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. I was listening to 8/14, 2009, I think, and right at the end of that show, and there's a great 8/14. There is a great Iculus at the end of 8/14 after really weird catapult, which was preceded by Psycho Killer.
Love
Didn't know
it.
what to expect. I'm just listening, and they started doing this like Pong inspired like feedback, like making the sounds that the Pong game used to make, and Iniculus Trey Trey goes off and in his typical thing where he does Iniculus like his spoken word, and telling people to read a fucking book.
Read
It
the
was just
book.
I was loving it. Yeah, you
So
really don't know what you're gonna get.
yeah,
You
so
do, but you don't.
I mean, like, to me, that, like, it's I mean, I guess the way that I look at it is it's storytelling,
Yeah.
right? Like, you're pretty much going to listen to, and I mean, some of the parts, right? Some of the parts are composed, but like, you can really go anywhere. And the fact that they're in the moment, like, that's why we show up,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, that's what
Mm-hmm.
makes it unique. That's what makes it amazing. And even going back and listening to the shows again, you're in a different place,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Versus,
That's it.
like, what's a popular song right now? Like,
Like a popular
like
rock song.
no, like even anything popular, like Cardi B, like WAP.
Okay.
Everyone's talking about
Yeah.
WAP. You know,
Yeah.
nothing. I mean, it's a great beat, it's a good song, but like, it's gonna be forgotten. Nobody's gonna go back, right? This is why there's like '90s bangers, and we listen to all the songs for when like we were nostalgic, right? It's not that there's still great songs; it's the fact that it takes us back to a certain place. Versus, this is great music, and I want to experience listening to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Much
Yeah, I don't
different.
think I'll forget WAP only because I've never learned it in the first place. I've never heard that song. At least I don't think so.
Oh, it's a great
I don't
song.
know.
It's a great.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't love the smutty lyrics, but like the beat is awesome,
Okay.
and she's picked the, um, the Alice in Chains song, "Them Bones."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The bass.
Oh, it samples that?
It doesn't sample it, but the bass is the same bass. Like the really
Okay.
chromatic boom, 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 that she uses that. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. But like in 2 months, I'm not gonna want to hear it again.
Right.
Right. Whereas you're gonna be like, hey, do you want to put on, Dinner and a Movie from '99 like that one? I'll be like, hell yeah, I do. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Last thing on Dinner and a Movie, obviously, we're not getting them nearly as frequently. We're in early October.
Uh-huh.
Of course, the rumor mill will start to circulate as to what the next one is. Fingers crossed for a Halloween show. Fingers crossed for the 95 Halloween show or 94. A lot of people are hoping for that.
Which one's 94? Is it the White Album?
94 is White Album, 95 is Quadrophenia,
Oh, nice.
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yeah, Halloween's on a Saturday. We're going to get into the Beacon Jams. They start this Friday in a couple of days, and they'll have one on the Friday the 30th. So wonder when Dinner and a Movie is going to come out and if it's going to be a Halloween show. But you can be guaranteed that when they do announce it, we'll be talking about it here. Beacon Jams starting on Friday. A couple of weeks ago when we first learned about it, we were both kind of skeptical. Is this real? Is this actually happening? It didn't seem like a real announcement. It didn't come from Trey. It just came from the Beacon Theater. And here we are, called the Beacon Jams. There's already a title for it and hasn't started. What are you excited about? What do you think we can expect? First of all, I got to find out where to get this Twitch, because it's only on Twitch apparently. So I've got to find how to Twitch it. Like I'm not good with the MyFace and Spacebooks and Snappy Chats. Like I just don't do it. So apparently I got to get Twitch.
Oh my God, Bogdan! Am I talking to my dad?
Can I go to the App Store and buy myself a Twitch? That's what I need to know. No, seriously, I don't have Twitch. I've never been on Twitch. I know what it is. It's like a gaming streaming app. I think that's where it kind of started.
It's a live streaming app.
Live streaming app.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can use it for a lot of things. But I think it kind of started in the gaming world, though, didn't it?
It became, I don't know where it started. I know that it's very popular in the gaming world.
Yeah. My boy Lando Norris is a big Twitcher. He's got a pretty big Twitch following apparently. Like
really?
A lot of people. Yeah. During the break when the season wasn't going, for those of you that don't know, we're talking a little bit about Formula One for 20 seconds. But when the drivers weren't racing because of COVID, a lot of the young guys do virtual racing online anyway, and started setting up races and stuff and things for charity. And yeah, he got a really big following through Twitch.
Two things. Crazy that Honda's out.
Yeah.
And I bet you that Kimi Räikkönen does not Twitch.
Kimi's the best. Yeah, if there's a takeaway for anybody who's never heard of Formula One, just look up Kimi Räikkönen. He's a reason to get into it.
He's the Phish of Formula One, man.
Yeah, the next race he'll break the record for most all-time races raced, and there's a lot of rumors that Schumacher's son, Mick Schumacher, is going to partner him next year. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's a whole other podcast, maybe a Formula One podcast. Formula One with a PH. How about that? There you go. So Beacon Jams, back to that. I guess we don't really know who's playing with Trey. If he's alone, if he's going to have help. I think it's an empty theater, but I don't know. Are there fans there? Are there tickets?
So, man, I don't get it. Like, if people are willing to risk it, and everyone's okay with it, risk it. Why don't they let them? I don't understand.
Yeah. I guess those answers we'll get on Friday night. But either way, it's new content. It's hopefully some new material, maybe some new old stuff. Who knows, right? I mean, really,
awesome,
I think
man. It's live music from my favorite guitar player of all time. So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. And hopefully it's something that we can access for a bit. It's not just up and then down. You know what I mean? Like I hope you can watch it on demand a few days after, like Dinner and a Movie, instead of just live. But I don't know how the Twitches work. So
you could probably put it, a lot of the Twitch stuff ends up on YouTube, right?
Does it? Okay.
Yeah. It's up to them. It's the recording. I don't see the benefit of just playing it one time.
Yeah. I agree.
I get you want to take it down. I wish Phish never took down Dinner and a Movie, but I understand why it gets taken down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess so. Fair enough. So excited for that. I'm sure we'll be talking about that next week. Last thing that I've got is I saw a really, really good post the other day, and it I think it kind of summed up a lot of what we talk about And as I read through the thread, there was a lot of references to things we've talked about. And the post was, "I finally get it." I'm gonna bring it up. So somebody went onto the Phish thread and posted, "I finally get it. Yesterday, I was driving around with the Dead on the radio, and I decided to switch to Phish for a sec because I was really digging their sound. And at that moment, the band changed from just another sound to my favorite band.
Wow.
I don't really know how to describe this other than by saying I finally get it. For a bit now, I've been listening to Phish on and off, but now I'm completely gay for Trey now." Laughing my ass off. And then I started to scroll through the first comment, and I think this rings true, at least for me. "Get ready to annoy all your friends and family members." And that's a very common thing. Phish fans are very much alone on an island in a circle of people that don't quite get it, and they're trying to get them to get it, which is very much what you and I are up to.
Yeah.
And then some recommendations of what to jump into from there. Live One 1995, different Yems, different shows, New Year's Run 97. A lot of good recommendations for this person. Can't wait to get to your first show. But there was one in here that I saw that I thought was really, really good. Okay. They elaborated a bit. So, "Do you recall which Phish song it was that hooked you?" And they responded with this. "It wasn't really a single song. It was kind of a month-long process. Around 3 months ago, I downloaded Sigma Oasis because I wanted to give Phish a try. I'm a Deadhead, and up until this point, I hadn't been into Phish. And the album was pretty good, but it wasn't really giving me the magic the Dead did. So a few days passed, and then I downloaded a Live One. Fucking melted my face. Stash and Wilson got stuck in my head, but truthfully, I still didn't really consider myself a Phish head at that point. I just thought I liked a few songs. Around a week later, I had a really good / bad acid trip. And the morning after, I was feeling exhausted and tried to get out my phone to put on some Dead to mellow out from the intense experience I had had the previous night. But somehow, I accidentally put on Leaves from Sigma Oasis, and it made me fucking cry. A few more weeks passed. I saw 2 dinner and movies. And then finally yesterday, I was in my car driving around listening to Sirius XM Phish radio. And the band just started sounding just as good as the Dead to me. I'm going to the first goddamn show I can get to after 2020 ends." So a couple of things that we've talked about in there as catalysts. A slow burn. A buddy was referenced in there that helped them out. An experience, a drug experience that kind of helped bring them into it. So a lot going on in the background, right? Like all the ingredients kind of floating around there, and then boom, coming together at that point to make it click.
Yep.
I think any thoughts?
Yeah, many. I think that is more common. I think that's just how most of us got it. You know, if I were to sit back and listen, I get that some people like heard a song and they were like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing ever," and you know. But I think for most of us, I think if, hand on heart, we actually look at how many times we interacted with the band and the different experiences that we had. I think that's how it goes, man.
Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. Do you think there are other bands that are like that are kind of floating around that people are adamant about and are very cultish about, and then all of a sudden, like, you jump in?
Yeah, I think most.
Like who?
I think most good music is like that. I think most of the stuff, when you hear it the first time, it might not, there's something interesting about it that you like, but you might not fall in love with it the first time, right? Like I think back to all the things that I really treasure now musically. The first time that I heard them, I wasn't like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing ever." Like there was 1 or 2 songs, right? Like I look back at like my favorite Led Zeppelin album, which by the way, 50 years today, Led Zeppelin 3, that's my favorite one.
Yeah.
So that's the first time I heard Led Zeppelin. So, I mean, yeah, I love the Immigrant Song. I love the Gallows Pole. But, like, the rest of the songs were, like, interesting but not amazing. It took me, like, 10, 15 times to hear them before I was like, man, I really love this song. Right? And the more relationships you create, the more experiences you have with the music, the more you love that song. Right? Now we have Aaron Platt, Come From the Land of the Ice and Ice. And, like you just laugh, right? Like, you laugh at stuff like that. But like it gets you, man.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about something other than Phish that over time has sort of resonated with me more when it comes to music.
Well, how did you were big into Dave Matthews? Like, did you fall in love with Dave Matthews immediately?
relatively quickly, once I started to listen to the full albums and just get away, it was the late 90s. And we talked about this, where typically how you bought music was based on the strength of a few radio singles. And if the band had a couple of songs, you would risk it and spend your money to buy a CD. It was the only way to hear it all. You couldn't stream it and preview it. And then I was guilty for many, many years with a lot of my CDs of just skipping to track 7, track 2, because those were the songs that I liked. And then it wasn't until we got the internet in 1999, and I would sit in front of the computer for a little bit longer at a time and just play music in the CD-ROM drive that we had. And I would start to hear all the tracks on the album, and that was when it really started to hit home for me with Dave. And also when I listened to a live show. You're right. We've talked about how getting into Phish and the Dead, you really need to listen to the live stuff first. I mean, if you hit the studio stuff, great. You're going to get a good album and it's going to sound great. But the experience and the vibe and playing with the crowd and the ebb and flow of how a show goes, you're not going to experience. But I have found with Dave, as the years have gone on, I've gone the opposite direction. I haven't fallen more in love. I'm falling out of love. Still love it. It's always going to be there. Yeah. But I think as I've discovered Phish and got more into that, my love for Dave is waning a bit. I just don't have the same. Like they had the equivalent of dinner and a movie the day after Phish did. Every week this past summer, I watched one. And the one that I watched, it was just predictable. And I was watching it going, okay, this song is going to do this, and this person's going to solo here, and it was just predictable. I wonder.
I have a question for you about that. So, I mean, I listen to an annoyingly amount. Like, it annoys my wife how much music I listen to.
Okay.
Predictability just never strikes me as a reason not to listen to a band. Like, I listen to a lot of punk music still. It's super predictable, man. Like, it's the same song every time, but I still love it. It's just interesting. It's interesting to me. All I'm saying is that predictability is that important, you know?
Yeah, I think for me, I think it's an appreciation of the musicianship and the flexibility that Phish brings in. Like, it's like an amazing improv group. In some cases, the structure part of the songs are amazing. But I like the not knowing exactly where it's going. Having an idea,
Me too.
But the element of surprise is always there. And again, I just mentioned it, listening to Iculus from 8/14/2009. I wasn't expecting Iculus to come on. It's only been played 29 times in its history, and it comes on. I'm like, holy crap. And those types of moments just don't really exist with that band.
Well, it's so funny you bring this up. I just wrote an email about it this morning. I was driving home from the gym, and I was listening to Sirius Radio was on, some show was on. I was listening, it was good. All of a sudden, the Wolfman's Brother comes on, and I'm like, holy fuck, I forgot about this song.
Really?
Yes. Like, it's not like
really?
There's so many awesome songs that I completely forgot that I haven't heard it in so long. And then you hear it, you're like, oh my God, this is awesome. So yes, like, I understand the value that way, right? It's like it's like when they played that Dinner in a Movie or whatever, like when they bust into No Quarter, and I was like, holy fuck, that's right, they cover No Quarter. This is the coolest shit ever.
Right. And those types of moments are fairly absent from the Dave world. Yeah. You know, if it does happen, they'll bust out a song at the beginning of the tour that they haven't played in 8 or 9 years. But then it's every other show on that tour. Right. So the specialness, or whatever you want, they just oversaturate it, and it kind of goes away. Yeah. Still an incredible live band, and they're great. And if you said, hey, I got tickets to a show, let's go tonight, I'd go. I wouldn't say no. But yeah, it's just I'm just finding that and maybe I'm comparing them to Phish too much in my own head, and that's probably why. The other thing I want to tell you too about my Phish listening is I've taken a bit of a step back. I'm still listening all the time, but I'm not consuming shows as quickly as I did. Yeah. And there's a reason for it. It's tough for me because I think I've crammed in a lot in a short amount of time. And we were talking about this last week, where it's inhibited my ability to really pick out the special moments in the shows, because they just kind of blend together. The accessibility is there. It's just too available. I can whip through 3 or 4 shows over the course of 2 days, instead of in real time. Fans would have been waiting for them to actually play those shows and listening the following days, and organically having that amount of time in between them. So I'm slowing it down a bit and focusing more on each one that I listen to a bit more, and really trying to cue in on the trajectory of where they're going. And I kind of started at the beginning of the 2009 tour, and I'm at a point now where they're really starting to get their groove back. The jams are getting better. You can feel it and hear that they're having a great time. They really love playing together again. Especially after they took the break at end of June 2009 and came back at end of July. That's 6 weeks in between. I think they practiced a lot because they came back hitting harder than they had when they first made their comeback. So just trying to cue in on that sort of stuff a little bit more. Hear the new songs come about as they do.
Yeah.
And just try to get a better understanding of it.
I think that's awesome, by the way, because that's how like it happened for the rest of us, right? Like it wasn't like, you didn't all of a sudden have access to 11 years worth of like 3 tours a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and evidently I need to, because I thought you were playing me Fluffhead when in fact you're playing me Reba. Shame on me. Yeah, haters, bring it on. Let's go. I don't care.
Oh, dude, buddy,
that's all good.
Listen, man, all you heard was you heard a complicated part of music with no context.
Yeah,
right.
I knew it, but I just I couldn't follow almost the notes leading up to that.
Yeah.
And then after, I thought I continued into the end of Fluffhead, but I was just wrong. That's okay. No big deal. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I had this week. Anything for me, any challenges, anything I should go listen to or do or not do or pay attention to?
No, dude, no. Do whatever you want, man.
No, I don't know if you had something that I should go listen to check out because, hey man, this is awesome. But all right.
Keep doing what you're doing. I think what you're doing is awesome. Right? Like the fact that like to slow down and to like actually take in the shows, like there's so much greatness when you take it in so fast. There's so many amazing things that just get swept underneath the rug because you're like, okay, got to get to the next one. And it becomes more about like getting to the next show versus like enjoying, I always find that pressure when they're on summer tour and the shows were coming out, like as they're playing the shows. I can't listen to 3-4 hours of music every day, right? Like I have to take it in bits. So like it takes me a long time to get through the tour sometimes. Yeah.
You have to get a commute. That's what you need to do.
No.
Get that time.
Fuck no.
I'm with you.
No.
Yeah, screw that noise. So we'll keep down that path, and we'll have more to report next week. Really looking forward to Beacon Jams. Everything's up in the air with that, and I'll have to get myself a Twitch so I can watch those. That's my to-do. There you go. There's my call to action. Go get the Twitch. All right, buddy. Have a great week. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.